Shalom Aliyam, welcome to class. I'm Rabbi Dr. Oluwafemi. Today we are addressing the biblical Greek and with the topic the Greek verb and the future indicative. So now on this particular teaching, previously we discussed a good number of Greek verbs, talking about the Greek compound verbs. We have had a good number of verbs. However, we want to discuss the future active of Greek verbs. So, and in this book, future indicative, we have three components. In other words, if you are to construct a Greek verb in the future indicative, in other words, when, for instance, we have a word like that's the Greek verb coming. So, discussing the Greek verb in the future indicative. All right, so for example, we have a word like we are hearing him. We are hearing him. Now, this is a present active indicative, and in English, it reads present tense. Yeah. Now, we want to make it future indicative. It becomes we will hear him. We will hear him. Now, by the addition of this will, it becomes a future indicative, and this future indicative is more or less the future tense. I mean, similar to the future tense in English. Yeah. So, but this being English, there's need for an introduction of another word per se. But when it comes to biblical Greek, we are forming the verbs in the future indicative. We don't really need to introduce a word per se. Yeah. All you have to do is to introduce a suffix there. Then we attach the future ending to the stem. So, and these are the three major compartments or components of the biblical Greek verb future indicative. So that's what we'll be learning in a moment. Now, this word could be written this way in Greek. Aku or men upon. We are hearing him. Now when it comes to that's present tense. Now having this written in Greek, that's the future tense. Yeah. So it becomes aku somen auton. Now axomen auton. Now what is the change? This was introduced. Yeah. And this is sigma. Yeah. So this introduction of sigma has turned this particular word, which is a phrase in Greek, to become we, that's omen, we, and so sigma, will, and aku, that's he. So it becomes we will hear him. So in Greek, we don't need to introduce a word per se. Yeah. We are addressing future indicative. What we just have to do is to introduce the sigma in most cases now. Yeah, because we have some rare cases where, or exceptions, where when this is added, it changes the structure, and this also will be learning in the course of the teaching. All right, so want to see the three components for forming a good verb in the future indicative. The three components. The first is the stem, as usual. That's the main word. Then we have sigma. So that's the prefixed sigma. So that's the prefix, and this symbol has to be prefixed to the stem. Then we have the ending, official ending. Yeah. Now the official ending will either be O, Ace, A, Omen, Ete, Usin. Yeah. So it's just similar to the present active indicative ending, as I've said. So it will be O, it will be Ace, it will be A. We are following the teaching. Yeah. We have Omen, Ete, and then Usin. So now let's get this to work and see. We want to see these three components for forming the official indicative of Greek verbs. The stem is the actual word. For instance, it could be as used initially we have akuho. So this could be aku. Is the real word. Aku, yeah. Then we have sigma. That should be attached to the stem. Then we have the official ending. This. So just will be suffixed. Yeah. Now let's have an example. We have this aku with the stem. Now plus the suffix, that's the sigma. Sigma. So this is the suffix that should be attached. Then we have the official ending. Official ending. That's let's use ete. So this is the official ending. So we have aku, we have sigma, and we have ete. Combining them, it becomes aku sete. Aku sete. And aku sete means ete means you, plural. This sigma makes it official. Then aku means I ear. So aku means ear. So it becomes here. So that shows you will hear. You will hear. That's aku sete. So this is a typical example of the Greek verb and the official indicative. So this three components. We have the stem, we have the introduction of sigma that makes it official per se. Then we have the official ending, which is also similar to the present active ending. So this is a good example. Now let's have one or two exercises before we move to the next sub section under the official indicative. All right, so yeah, for Luho, it's about Luo, and the future indicative. So this means I lose. Making it in the future indicative becomes Lu plus sigma, and the future indicative are ended. So we have it Lu sigma and usim. It becomes Lu susin. Lu susin, and becomes they will lose. They will lose. Now, this is for the third person plural. Now, I want to see the first person singular. It becomes lu so. Lu so. So the duration of the sigma, and becomes I will lose. Yeah. So then we can also do this for first person plural. That's we. Now lose means destroy, untie. Yeah. Let's have that for the rest persons. Now we have lu. So my lu said. Then let's add one e. Lu or men. Yeah. So we have Luho, Luis. I mean Luho, Lu says, and then Lu say, then Lu somen. So it becomes you singular will lose. Yes. He or she will lose. Yeah. Then for lusomen means we will lose or untie. Yeah. So that's how to conjugate luho in the future indicative. So a recap of what we have had. Sigma out with there. Then the future ending out with there. Then the stem of the particular word. Very important. All right. So this is the conjugation of luho in future indicative. Now we have exceptions to biblical Greek laws, rules. Yeah. So then I want to put up a structure so as to see a few exceptions that we have. In other words, there are some words that when we introduce sigma, the end product won't be the same with the future ending, or I mean present ending, as it used to be. So it has to change when they come together. So I'm going to highlight all of those now before diving into the last part of this particular teaching. All right, so let's see. We have a few stem that's ended with consonants. So just like we have go, we have grab, full, and then we have suzo. So all of this, the stem, the stem. So the stem ends with a consonant. So when the stem ends with a consonant, for example, we have gutturals. Yeah, we have gutturals. We have labia. And we have dental. So when the stem of a word ends with a consonant, as in it ends with g, ends with psi, phi, then it ends with zeta, and the rest. So they take a different form when they are combined with sigma. Yeah. So when they are combined with sigma, they take different structure. Unlike loho that ends, loho that ends with vowel. So once the stem of the word ends with a consonant, then when we're attaching the sigma to make the future indicative, then the end product would change. Yeah. So, and that's what we're going to be doing subsequently. Now let's have it for gutturals. The gutturals, that's the gutturals, the consonants that are pronounced with the throat. So let's have example of them. We have, let me put it up right away. We have the gutturals, gutturals. So when they come in contact with sigma, I take another shape, and then the labia and dental. Yeah. So gutturals, for example, we have G, we have kappa, and a number of them. So for dental, we have the delta, we have T, and then for labia, so we have a good number of them. Well, let's start with gutturals. Now, when a guttural, let me put it up. Let's start with gutturals. So, for example, we have G and we have K. So once G and K is added, or any of them added to sigma, becomes G sigma. So becomes, instead of having, for example, we have a word like let's use this go. So instead of having it as